The black deck is considered one of the harder decks in Balatro. Its gimmick is that you start with 3 hands instead of 4, meaning you can output about 75% of your usual score. To compensate, you get an extra joker slot, and your goal is to make up that 25% difference with the extra joker. To be honest, even though the black deck is more difficult than the others, I think it's still pretty easy to pilot as long as you have good Balatro fundamentals. At the lower stakes, you can win almost every fight in 1 to 2 hands anyway, and the spare joker slot makes your late game really smooth. As you'll see in this run, I actually forget halfway through that I have an extra slot, and I still beat every fight pretty easily. So, if you want to watch me one-shot the Violet Vessel using the hardest deck in Balatro, keep watching. So right away, as soon as I load into the game, I see holographic, which means that the next joker I see in the shop will get plus 10 mults attached to it. This is really good because plus 10 mults is enough to get you through the first few antes usually, so regardless of what I see in the next shop, I can just buy it and be good until ante 2. And that means I can win fights without buying other jokers, which means I can save my money and build up a whole bunch of interest to eventually scale into the later parts of the game. I kind of botched the first big blind fight. I think that the 2 pair is going to finish it, but it ends up being 6 chips short, which means I have to play one more hand, which means that I have $1 less than I normally would at this point. I'm a little upset about it, but I choose not to restart the run because I know that I'll still be able to afford the holographic. It's not ideal, but it's playable. So the holographic tag lands on Chaos the Clown, which is a really good pickup for me. Chaos the Clown is great, especially this early in the game, because I can reroll a whole bunch of times easily, and basically every single shop I get to see 4 cards instead of 2. So as you can see, with plus 10 mults alone, I'm already able to one-shot the first boss. So in the first shop I see in Ante 2, I see Seeing Double, and Seeing Double is great because it's a ×2, meaning that it will scale with everything else in my build. At the moment, the absolute value of mults I'm getting is not that high, but Seeing Double is going to increase in value the later into the run we get. So I buy it now even though it leaves me with a very low amount of money because I know it's going to be useful later on. And in the next shop I see Trading Card. It's not an amazing pickup here. I would actually get more gold if I just got Golden Joker or another common, but I'll take it because I do like the extra money, and there's always a chance that you get some kind of card destruction synergy, like Erosion for example, and then I'll be really glad to have it. In the next shop I see the Bull, and the Bull gives you bonus chips based on the amount of money that you have in your bank. So after I buy it, I'm only going to have 2 chips, which of course is not a lot, but because I have Trading Card, I'm going to be able to grow my money pretty quickly, and also in general, because my build is so strong, I'm going to be able to take a lot of fights without spending any money. And the more I do that, the more interest I'm going to build up, the bigger my bank becomes, the more value I get out of the Bull. Here's a cute trick that you may or may not know. When you draw cards in Balatro, the cards go into your hand in sorted order, and because of that, you can sometimes infer what the rank of a card is based on its position. So for example, what we're looking at here, I see a card to the left of the Ace of Clubs, and I know that that has to be an ace because only an ace in sorted order would go up there. And so I know that if I play both of those cards, I'm guaranteed to have a pair of aces, which is really good because one of those aces is a club, and so I'm going to trigger Seeing Double no matter what. And then with the full house, I get a casual 2800 chips, enough to get you through like ante 4 or 5 I think. So at this point I accidentally skipped the Fool. I wasn't paying enough attention and I really should have bought it, because if I had bought the Fool and then used it with Hermit, I would have gotten $40 from my next Hermit usage instead of just 20. Bit of a mistake, maybe I would have been punished at the higher stakes, but I still won the run, so it's okay. In the next shop I see a Wrathful Joker with Polychrome on it. I already would have considered picking up Wrathful Joker because plus 4 mults occasionally is just going to be nice, but with Polychrome it's a definite buy. Again, the more of these multiplicative effects you get, from Polychrome to Seeing Double to something else later on, the better your run is going to be overall. With my current build, a 3 of a kind scores 6,000 chips, so I'm well ahead of the curve. I get another Hermit, I'm really happy about that. And I pick up Overstock, even though it's kind of expensive, because Overstock combos really well with Chaos the Clown. Now each time I reroll, I'm going to see 3 cards instead of 2, and every shop overall I'm going to see 6 jokers instead of 4. It makes it that much more likely that I'm going to see something really high value that I can buy later on. Okay, so this part's funny. I see Campfire, which I know is really good and I want to take it, but because I have 5 jokers, I think to myself, oh, I'm out of room. I have to sell something to pick up Campfire, and I think I end up selling Trading Card. However, I've forgotten that I'm playing the black deck, which means that I have an extra joker slot, and I could have kept all 5 of my jokers and just put the Campfire on top of that. Everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. So with my current build and a single stack of Campfire, I'm netting 8.5k from a pair that has a club in it. And then later, I actually only get 10k from a straight flush. That's because the straight flush is not benefiting from Seeing Double. So you have to be aware of the kinds of hands that are high value depending on your joker lineup. At this point I see another fool, which can turn into a hermit, which is great news for my bankroll. And I decide that I want to buy the green joker, but once again I am forgetting that I have an extra joker slot, so I actually sell the wrathful joker with polychrome in order to pick up this joker. In most runs this would be a very delicate transition where I go from my general high scoring build to pick up something scaling, which reduces the overall value but is going to increase by the time of the late game. I could have circumvented that whole thing if I had just remembered that I had an extra joker slot, but you'll see, I win anyway, so it's not that big a deal. So now with the swap, my high card is scoring 4.6 thousand chips, and I actually want to play high card as much as possible, because if my score is lower, then it means that I play more hands overall, which means that my green joker is going to scale more quickly. So at this point, I accidentally skip throwback, which is crazy because throwback is a really strong joker. I'm just not focused in this run. I do pick up the director's cut because it's a good backup plan just in case you see a really obnoxious boss fight that might just end your run. You can reroll it and then you can keep playing. So my high card is scoring less in this ante because I don't have any stacks of campfire. I still can win pretty easily, but my sort of true value independent of campfire is about 3,000. Playable, but I need to grow a little bit if I'm going to finish this fight. So at this point I finally remember that I have an extra joker slot and I am like, oh crap, let me put something in there just to get some more value. And I pick a stuntman. Stuntman's great, the plus chips is nice. The downside of stuntman is that because my hand size is smaller, it's a lot harder for me to trigger seeing double. And you can see here that at this point I'm worried a little bit because I realize, oh crap, I'm not triggering seeing double, and it's going to be really hard to do that because my hand size is so small. So at this point, I actually choose to swap out Seeing Double for an Even Steven with plus 10 molt. But then, as soon as I reroll, I see Ramen, which is basically just a strict upgrade over Seeing Double. So then I resell the Even Steven and pick up the Ramen instead. It looks wasteful, but I kind of had to do it this way because I didn't know that I was going to see Ramen in my next reroll. And so if I had rerolled the Even Steven away without buying it, and I didn't get a Ramen here, then I would kind of just be out of luck. So now, with my revamped build, I score 38,000 chips from a random high card. This is with some campfire stacks, so it's not, I would say, the true value or the baseline value, but I didn't really sell that many cards, so it's pretty close to my baseline. So at this point, I spot a banner that has polychrome on it. And like I've been saying, multiplicative effects cooperate with each other really nicely. I end up deciding to sell the bull in favor of banner. I'm losing like 100 chips from that, but I'm gaining another 1.5 times molt. And especially as Green Joker gets bigger and bigger, that scaling is going to go crazy. So now with the swap and with one stack of campfire, I score 40,000 chips per hand. With 40,000 chips times 3, I can score 120,000, which is enough to beat every boss fight that is not Violet Vessel. With Violet Vessel, I need something extra to push me over the edge, but again, I have campfire, that's my extra sauce. So here I see Supernova, and so I decide to sell Chaos the Clown finally in order to pick up Supernova. Now that I have a really well-developed build, I've got my Green Joker, I've got my campfire, I've got my ramen. Chaos the Clown has gone from this pivotal part of my build that's keeping me alive to just this kind of like extra little thing that I don't need anymore. I buy Overstock Plus here, I don't really need it. At this point, I can probably win with basically anything that I do. I'm just messing around. I decide to buy these two consumables here because I can sell them later on if I need an extra little push to finish a fight. And as you can see, I casually two-shot the Ante 7 boss, scoring 40,000 chips per hand. Once we enter Ante 8, we have permission to go crazy. We can buy and sell everything that we want to. I skipped the first shot because I want to see what the final boss is going to be so I know whether to reroll it with Director's Cut, and I see that it is Violet Vessel. I have one fight in between to kind of check in with where I'm at, so I kill the small blind really quickly and easily, and then I do my buying and selling in the second shop because I can test out what my build is going to be in the big blind and see whether or not I'm going to win. Once I do get into the shop, I see Blueprint, which is going to copy one free Joker that I want, and obviously I want it to be Campfire. So I do my buying and selling, I do my shopping. I end up with 5.5 molt on Campfire, and I could push that higher, but I don't really have to, because once you add in Blueprint, that is more than 25 times molt on top of everything else that I have, which gives me a score of 832,000 chips, which is a little bit more than 300,000. And the final score, when I do take on the Violet Vessel, is 878,000 chips, all thanks to our friend the Campfire. It's really easy to look at this, I think, and say to yourself, oh, of course you won. You just found Campfire. And sure, I did find Campfire and it did win me the run. However, the reason why I was able to find Campfire is because I did a lot of careful management of resources leading up to that. Managing my economy, leveraging Chaos the Clown, rerolling at appropriate times, digging when I need to dig, and the only reason I was able to survive until I got to that point is because I bought smart jokers that would help me grow my score little by little until I could roll into something really powerful. So this is the lesson that I want you to take away. Don't tunnel vision on the big high value play that wins you the run. Think about all the little details that get you up to that point. Think about Chaos the Clown. Think about trading card. Think about re-rolling into a Hermit and making $20 off of that. Those are the little decisions that mean that you don't have to rely on luck so much to win runs of Balatro. You can game the system in your favor by mastering these little tricks of economy. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you around.